It truly is the end, my brothers, the end of the world, but also the end of 2024. I'm already in that 2025 vibe, man. I'm hiding Bitcoins all over the house, dude. I'm downloading apocalypse preparation manuals, building a bomb shelter in the basement, and I'm learning Russian, dude. But I also wanted to highlight some Commander staples printed into the format this year. These are the cards I see people scrambling to include in the years to come. Now, this is, of course, my personal list. I don't even own a ton of these, as we're dealing with some very inflated prices on some of these cards. Like it or not, these staples are going to be a little pricier for a little while until they get reprinted into dust. I may have a proxy or two, but, we keep that on the down low, all right? So the Pinkertons don't come knocking. Don't tell anybody about my proxies, dude. I didn't see nothing, but I do see new subscribers and patrons and members, and that's an army of dudes out there, and I appreciate every single one of you bros. Look at this beautiful boy, the Bloodthirsty Conqueror. So this is a Vampire Knight. It's a 5/5 mana, flying Death Touch. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life, dude. Your death will be neither quick nor painless. Agony makes blood so much sweeter, huh? Yeah. Doing the Macho Man voice for all flavor text. I'm having the Macho Man read the flavor text. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a pure value engine and a redundant combo piece for exquisite blood. I'm not surprised that it's starting out at like $40 here. Fanatic of Aronis sounds like a Brazilian death metal band. 1 and a green for a creature snake druid. It's a 1/4, has tap, add green. Or Ferocious, tap, add 4 green mana. Activate only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. It's kind of a beefed up Elysian Caryatid. Has Eternalize for 2 green, so basically it comes back as a 4/4 zombie snake druid with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcery. It's kind of neat. It's like a little flashback effect. This is the Mana Dork of Doom, man. This goes in a ton of decks, but doesn't fix your mana. It's only good in green decks or, high green decks, but there's a lot of decks out there like that. 4 mana for this thing, you're tapping for 4 mana, dude. For 2 mana for this thing is nuts. Coming out of nowhere, the best manolith I've seen in a while is the Patchwork Banner. 3 generic mana artifact. As this thing enters, choose a creature type. Creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+1. Has tap to add 1 mana of any color. Come on, man, I love this thing. You guys are all playing tribal decks out there, kindred decks, whatever you want to call them. You're going to need mana, all right? One of the best 3 mana rocks in a while for your kindred decks. I've been seeing this one a lot out there, Lava Spur Boots. So this is 1 generic mana, artifact, equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+0. Has haste and ward 1. Has equip for 1. So these boots are made for slapping, yeah. I've been seeing these boots pop up more often, and that small amount of protection is nice, but the haste is really sweet. So a lot of these decks, you have boots, you have greaves, which are all very nice, and give a little more protection, actually quite a lot more protection, but this thing is a little less mana, and a lot of times you want your commander slapping in, and people don't expect that ward 1, so, it's equivocal, but I've been seeing this a lot. The Forensic Gadgeteer. Love this card. 2 and a blue, creature, Vidalcan Artificer Detective. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, investigate. Activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana in that cost to less than 1 mana. So are you packing in a Basalt Monolith in there? I know you are, dude. Too bad this isn't an artifact itself, but it goes ham in those artifact decks. Now this guy is a very interesting card. 1 black for the Abyssal Harvester. Creature Demon Warlock. It's a 3/2. Has tap, exile target creature card from a graveyard that was put there this turn. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a nightmare in addition to its other types. I'm living in a nightmare. Then exile all other nightmare tokens you control. Till all the soil, yeah. Spare no soul. Neath the darkness, nightmares grow. Free Reanimator in a mill deck, and it's Graveyard Hate too, dude. Come on, man. This works with Graveyard Tutors too, if you need that effect. Hardcore Demon. Works with discard too. Wheels. It's an underrated gem. How's about this guy, the Alpha Deathclaw? I know this is 4 black and a green. It's a creature lizard mutant. I know he's a mutant. He's a 6/6, but he's got menace and trample. When this guy enters or becomes monstrous, destroy target permanent. So it's 5 black and a green, has monstrosity 4. Man, this isn't everything I want in a budget beater. It's more, brother. Love this for 6 mana. Deal with something and get in for damage. Some problem permanent out there. Then you can just make it monstrous if you want to, man. It's a lot of removal. It's expensive, but this hits anything. This guy, this is a toddler who interrupts you as you're about to make sweet love to your wife, dude. They just knock on the door. Mom, I had a nightmare. Oh, God. The Aven Interrupter, 1 white for a creature bird rogue. It's a 2/2 with flash and flying. When this thing enters, exile target spell. Becomes plotted. Spells your opponents cast from graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast. 3 mana. It's kind of a conditional white counterspell, especially if your opponents are doing something at instant speed that you don't like, man. You know, they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to plot it later. I love this in flyer decks and just the white creature decks in general. You're going to see this card a lot. It's called the Agate Instigator. 1 and a red. Creature Lizard Rogue. It's a 1/3. Have Offspring for 1 and a red. So then you create a little 1/1 token copy of it for 1 and a red. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Functionally, this is Purphoros, but it's 2 little dudes, and they die way easier. You know, Purphoros obviously has that indestructibility, but think about it this way. If you want Purphoros, you definitely want the Instigator, and the price reflects that at about $8. And of course, this guy, the Archmage of Arun. So this is 3 blue, creature, giant wizard. It's a 3/6. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Fantastic right there. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. This is a great card for your Magecraft decks, your instant and sorcery decks. This guy has those beefy arms. He's got the floating runes. Give him a chance. Blasphemous Edict. Brother, come on, man. 3 black sorcery. You may pay 1 black mana rather than pay the spell's mana cost if there are 13 or more creatures on the battlefield. Each player sacrifices 13 creatures of their choice. Lots of excitement around this card. Kind of curious to see how people find it, you know, how it plays out. I would try it. I like the art too, man. I think this is a banger of a card. Harbinger of Sorrow. It's an old Metallica song, but this guy is the Harbinger of the Seas. Basically means the seas are coming, dude. They're coming for your face. 1 blue, creature merfolk wizard. It's a 2/2. Non-basic lands are Islands, I mean. The rising moon calls mercilessly to the waves, commanding the sea to rise high enough to devour mountains. Forgot to do the Macho Man. I forgot to have Macho Man read that one. Blue blood moon. You know, it's bloodfish, dude. Trust me, this is going to mess up your bros in the commander pod. It's no good. Look at this monster, the Twin Flame Tyrant. 3 and red for a creature dragon. It's a 3/5 and flying. Alright, not great stats, but if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage instead. Job only paid for 1 hit. Yeah, I'm out. That's from the Macho Man. This is nutso, man. Another doubler, but this time it's a beefy dragon. Fantastic card, very pricey. Look at this little guy, the Starscape Cleric. 1 and a black, creature bat cleric. It's a 2/1 with Offspring for 2 and a black. So that's 5 mana total for 2 little flyers out there. This guy can't block, but whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. There are a few cards like this, alright? It's an efficient flyer that brings his son along to play, dude. Decks with a lot of little life gain effects need more redundancy, and this bat and his son delivers. Now, I love me some versatility and some blue clone effects, and that's 3 steps ahead. 1 blue mana for an instant has Spree, +1 in a blue, counter target spell, or +3, create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control. +2, draw 2 cards and discard a card. If there's one thing I love, it's versatility, man. Sometimes I'm a YouTuber, sometimes I'm a bicycle dude. This does a bunch of my favorite things for a pretty reasonable rate. You know, it's maybe 1 or 2 mana more than I would spend for these types of effects, but you get that versatility and it's an instant speed. That's the sauce. Now, I made a big deal about this card. It's one of my favorites for the whole year because I love Phyrexian Altar, and that's the Warren Soul Trader. 2 and a black, creature, zombie goblin wizard. It's a 3/3, has pay 1 life, sack another creature, create a treasure token. Alright, the living take their souls for granted. The dead know what they're worth. Yeah. This weird little goblin idiot does a reasonable Phyrexian Altar imitation for like $6. You do have to pay 1 life. You know, but that can be bent to your advantage in a black deck. I use this as a sack outlet in zombie decks. You know, usually I'm only sacking 4 or 5 things, but then you can cast that big reanimation spell. Not bad stats for 3 mana either. Favorite card this year, maybe I picked up a bunch of them when they were cheap right at the beginning. You know, I guess I say that a lot. that it's my favorite card, but this one really is. Rakdos the Muscle. Really surprised that this thing is only a couple bucks. 2 black, and a red. Legendary creature. Demon Mercenary. It's a 6/5. This guy lost 1 toughness for some reason. Flying and trample. Whenever you sacrifice another creature, exile cards equal to its mana value from the top of target player's library. Until your next end step, you may play those cards, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. Sacrifice another creature. This guy gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it, activate only once each turn. Pretty amazing sacrifice payoff and card advantage machine. This guy helps you hit your land drops, only a couple bucks. You know, sacrificing stuff at instant speed is pretty nice. How about this guy, Trouble in Pairs? So this is 2 white, enchantment. If an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. Whenever an opponent attacks you with 2 or more creatures, draws their second card each turn, or casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. Pretty nice, man. $25 for this thing. The artist got in some trouble. They lifted the assets from some sci-fi cover out there. I don't remember the artist, alright? I'm not going to get into the drama right now, dude. It kind of makes sense when you look at the weird perspective on the front acts, though. Anyways, this is a solid enchantment in white. If you own one, you're probably never going to see this art again. Vaultborn Tyrant. Look at this beater. 5 green, creature dinosaur 6/6 with trample. Whenever this guy or another creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, you gain 3 life and draw a card. So this thing is a 6/6 with trample. You cast it, gain 3 life, draw a card. When this guy dies, if it's not a token, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It's just a massive beater that draws cards, man. Pretty amazing. Also, about $30 or so. Molten Duplication, are you kidding me here? 1 and a red, sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control. Except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste until end of turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Bro, I always want this effect in my red decks, and 2 mana for this is fantastic. I love the art too, man. You got a hot lady out there swinging a big old sword. This thing's already seeing a lot of play. Archdruid's Charm, very important in the commander format. 3 green mana for an instant, choose 1. Search your library for a creature or land card and reveal it. Put it onto the battlefield tapped if it's a land, otherwise put it in your hand. Then shuffle, so you can search for a creature to your hand basically. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So this is a tutor and removal, and you can choose to exile target artifact or enchantment. That's an exile for 3 green mana. Not bad. Very versatile modal instant. These are great in Commander. All 3 of these modes, man. You never know what you're gonna need. This is a 3 mana creature tutor if you need that for a creature based combo too. Fantastic. Final Showdown. Love this card. 1 white mana for an instant, has Spree, +1, all creatures lose all abilities until end of turn. You can kind of blunt some combos with that. Or +1, choose a creature you control, gains indestructible until end of turn. Or +3 white, destroy all creatures. So this is another sweet Spree card. Also an instant, dude. You don't see instant speed board wipes too often, but this can stifle some combos, save a creature, or it can wipe the board. You know, if you have a bunch of mana, that's max versatility right there, brother. This card is very slept on. Are you building an Aristocrats deck or like the Zulaport Cutthroat type effect? Marionette Apprentice is pretty awesome for that. Creature Human Artificer, it's a 1/2 for 1 and a black, has Fabricate 1. So when it enters, you can create a little servo token, brings a little sack fodder to the table. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So if you're looping creatures in and out, like Zulaport Cutthroat, you can stick this in your deck and just kill everybody, man. You know, no life gain. Zulaport Cutthroat does that life gain. But this guy brings some sack fodder, so, you know, I'm usually not in it for the life gain, I'm in it for the life loss for my opponents. Huge fan of this card for your counters decks. Mutational Advantage. Permanents you control with counters on them gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Prevent all damage that will be dealt to those permanents this turn, and then proliferate. So it's basically a heroic intervention type effect for your cards with counters on them. Great card for your counters decks in Simic colors and lets you proliferate, brother. My ex-girlfriend used to let me proliferate every Friday night, but not anymore. Now, as you guys know, I'm a fan of mill, self-mill, black, green, all that fun stuff. But 1 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your first main phase, mill 3 cards. You may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those cards in your hand. That's the Ripples of Undeath. I am a fan of this, dude. It's pretty efficient. It's not very likely to eat removal either. People are just going to let you do this. It's a great staple for self-milled decks with the added bonus of being able to pay a couple life and mill something important. Get it back to your hand. This guy, the Vein Ripper, this is going to be a commander staple going forward. 3 black creature vampire assassin. It's a 6/5 with flying. Has ward, sacrifice a creature. Whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life.
Yeah, identity unknown, body count unknown, yeah, but potentially in the dozens.
Jack the Ripper, he's a vampire, man. This is Blood Artist brother who comes out of nowhere and beats you up on the bus ride home for making fun of his little brother, dude. It's pricey at 6 mana, but it's a roided out aristocrat, and I want one. Love this guy, the Dour Port Mage. So this is 1 blue, creature Frog Wizard. It's a 1/3. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control leave the battlefield without dying, you draw a card. Has 1 blue tap, return another target creature you control to its owner's hand.
Rations. We're tightly controlled, yeah.
Fantastic tool for blink decks, my brother. Chunky Frog. It's my nickname in middle school. Here comes the Chunky Frog, dude. And those are, in no particular order, the cards I think we'll see in Commander decks in 2025 and beyond. Some Commander format bangers, dude. Lots of bangers in there. Did I miss anything? You gotta let me know in the comments below and be kind to each other, brother. Nikki G loves you. And this is the Better Commander signing off.